I'm Sylvia Snowden. I am a very proud employee at CAN-TV, and I am thrilled to have you with us today for what's actually a pretty special discussion. So, for those of you who do not know, though I think you all should, Chicago is pretty much a film hub. We are known around the world for our great films and our wonderful creatives, and so we thought as good Chicagoans we would sit down for a pretty special discussion with some heavy hitters in Chicago's film industry, some people who really know what's happening and can tell us all about Chicago and why we're so special where films are concerned. I am so pleased to have as my guest today Miss Dionne Smith of the Gene Siskel Film Center. Hi Dionne, thank you for being here.
Hi Sylvia, thank you.
And of course, I'm elated to have with us Mr. Pepe Vargas of Chicago Latino Film Festival. Hello.
Hello. You see the All-Star game.
There you go.
Which was yesterday or today in Washington.
That's right.
The
That's
heavy
right.
hitters, so we are
Yeah.
the All-Stars.
Well, you know,
using the metaphor for baseball.
we didn't want to do this if we couldn't have, here we go again, the major players of
Thank
the
you
film
for that.
industry with us. So I'm so glad you were able to be here and really contribute to what's going to be a pretty robust discussion.
Thank you.
So I wanted to just start by asking each of you to tell me a little bit about your film center, your film festival, and then highlight a couple of the key contributions it's made to Chicago's film industry.
You got so many festivals.
Well, you know, the Gene Siskel Film Center has been in existence since 1972, and we are proud to present the best in inclusive, cutting-edge cinema, including independent, international, classic cinema, and we've grown now to show our films to audiences over 88,000 every year. So we are located downtown in the Loop. We are a public program of the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and we're pretty proud of that. So we're the only independent film movie theater in downtown Chicago, and that alone is very special, and I think that's one reason why we've been in existence for over 45 years now, because people know they can come and they can view unique work that they may not see anywhere else, and we present 5 festivals a year, including our Chicago European Union Film Festival, our Black Harvest Film Festival that's coming up in August, our Asian American Showcase, our Festival of Films from Iran, and Chicago Palestine Festival. So we have a pretty diverse and inclusive range of programming, and we're pretty proud of that.
The Gene Siskel Film Center's Black Harvest Film Festival is the Midwest's foremost festival of the Black experience on film and is one of the leading Black film festivals in North America. Presented every August, Black Harvest is the Film Center's most vibrant annual showcase, featuring over 60 narrative features, documentaries, and shorts by established and emerging filmmakers, insightful and provocative Q&As and panel discussions, and events celebrating the breadth and significance of Black culture. Be sure to join us in August when we'll celebrate 24 years of Black Harvest. A public program of the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, the Gene Siskel Film Center is located in the Loop at 164 North State Street and is an inclusive venue celebrating diversity through its eclectic and expansive world cinema offerings, presenting 1,600 screenings and 200 guest filmmaker appearances annually. For more information, visit www.siskelfilmcenter.org/Black Harvest.
Right now we are, I think we are the oldest Latino film festival in the country. There used to be one in San Antonio, but I haven't heard from them in a long time, but that is irrelevant. The thing that we exist is what is important. One thing that is of a great importance and also a great satisfaction for us, and we are extremely proud to be the #1. That is unquestionably that the Latino Film Festival, Chicago Latino Film Festival, is the best in the country. And also it carries a big responsibility to make sure that we don't betray the trust that we have gained from more than close to 40,000 people who attend the film festival year after year. We had a 30 great grand anniversary And before that, we had the 25th and the 20th, we start coming back. But now, moving forward, next year will be the 25th anniversary of the Chicago Latino Film Festival. Like any other festival in the country, I mean, other cities have seen their festival disappear. And we had not disappeared. We are here with the sound commitment of making sure that every festival is better than the one before. That is what I say. We have a great 30th anniversary, and now we must have a great 25th. This year we had a great festival, and we are committed to make sure that the next one, 35th, is even better. San Francisco, New York, LA, Atlanta, Miami, all of those cities are deprived of what we have in Chicago, giving people the opportunity to really get to know Latinos from a different perspective, see the stories that are told from the perspective of their own creator, the Argentinians, Peruvians, Spanish, Puerto Rican, Cubans, pretty much film from the entire diaspora of Latinos. Okay. And that's what we have been doing for 34 years. And the film festival is kind of the father of all. Out of the film festival, we have created the Latino Classical Music Festival. Now, 13 years doing that. Now we show films in the park, non-Hollywood films, by the way. Non-Hollywood film with subtitle. We've been doing that this is the 13th year we've been doing that in different neighborhoods. Tomorrow we have one near the airport, Midway. Okay. First time that we go there. And different parks in the city. For the first time, we are going to Millennium Park to show Coco on August 14. Another thing that we do is every last Tuesday of the month, we show a film from a different country from May to November. And that film is accompanied with appetizer from the country, from a restaurant of a country that we had the film. Next one will be Peruvian, the last one was Argentina, and then we have a Mexican. Every month is a different, so wine, beer, and food, and then a film. And then we have a film critic, usually Alejandro Riera, who comes and talks to the people. It's a very engaging, entertaining, and a learning experience that also we've been doing that for 10 years. It's a lot of things that we do, and unfortunately people think that the only thing we do is the Latino Film Festival, except the one who attend the other events.
Okay. So I want to ask you this, because you just said something very important, that not every city does what Chicago does when it comes to films. They're not doing this in Atlanta, New York, LA. They don't do what we do. So what is it about Chicago that encourages such a boon in creativity? What do we have that they don't?
I think the diversity, people embrace diversity. New York is a big city, it's cosmopolitan, it's kind of the capital of the world. Chicago is kind of the capital of the U.S. And we have people from everywhere. You find people whose culinary arts are shared with everyone. So you got food from everywhere. You got religion, languages, people of all sizes and colors. It's a multiracial city. Also, it's the most segregated city as well. It has a lot of things that made Chicago unique. I came here in 1980 and I would not go away. Or when I go away, I don't think going to the country I was born or the country I grew up, which was Argentina. I was born in Colombia, I live in Mexico, Chile, but those are my countries, but in my mind, I don't belong to them.
I see. I
belong to a city that somehow adapted me, or I adapted the city. I became Chicagoan. And that is basically my umbilical cord has to be cut. And otherwise, I won't go. And so Chicago is a very special city. And people have that appetite for consumption of things that are not so foreign, that are here, and that is probably the film center. That's why they have all of these many festivals, because there are people from the countries that wanted to go, and also they want people from here to see part of the culture as it is reflected on the films. And there is no other organization, or the FACES, the Film Center, and nobody else.
I see.
It's actually Music Box. We have one. The International Film Festival has been for so long. I think not serving or not taking advantage of the opportunity of really bringing the world to Chicago. Had they done it a great job, we would not be around.
Well,
But I praise what they do. It's 50 plus years doing that and getting Chicago connected with, not with the world, but some parts of the world, that counts.
Okay.
And I certainly applaud them and wish them another 50 years of success.
well, yeah, and Dionne, I'm going to toss that to you too. Now, Pepe said this is the diversity. Would you agree with that, or what would you say makes Chicago unique?
I would definitely agree with that. I think the beauty of Chicago is that we have so many unique and different ethnic populations represented in the city, and you see that all the time. When people do stats about Chicago, they always go back and talk about, oh, it may have the largest Polish population outside of Poland, or it may have the largest, Croatian population. They always mention different ethnic populations because we are a city that welcomes everyone, as the whole U.S. of America, United States of America should. We should accept everyone because we are all from somewhere else. And I feel Chicago is an amazing representative of that. We believe in culture and art, and the Film Center is a wonderful representation of that cultural fabric and the power of film and its way to touch people in a very easy and accessible way. And I think that's one reason why the Film Center, the Gene Siskel Film Center, works in Chicago, and how we've been able to grow for 45 plus years and see, even from FY17 in 2016, 2017 to 2018, we've grown by a couple thousand. So now we are welcoming over 88,000 people per year, and that's amazing to me, because we have two theaters. We have one that seats 196 and one that seats 63, and that's a lot of programming because we're open 360 days a year. So there is always an opportunity for Chicagoans and anyone who's visiting Chicago to see and view the world, just as Pepe said. You are able to view the world at the Film Center and to relish and maybe seeing yourself or some image or some story that represents what you're going through at the Film Center.
Okay, now you and I were talking before the show, and another thing I found out while researching for this project was that a lot of people like to come here and make films as well, and I didn't know that at first. Now, why do people like to come to Chicago and make films and not to some other part of the country? Because we talked about that.
Right. I think, people normally, of course, are always going to think about LA, New York, but Chicago is such an amazing arts town, as we just mentioned, and you know that from the theater community and the many small Chicago theaters and large theaters that are here in Chicago. But we have such a warm and welcoming arts community, and especially within the film community, and you have a lot of resources and actors and producers and writers who are willing to share their talents and to make sure that people feel like it's a real community, and to network and to gather. And there are so many different opportunities to do that on a daily basis. You see it. And then you also have resources like CineSpace, where you have studios and you have the ability to shoot here for maybe a cheaper, in a not spending as much,
That always
because
helps.
finance is always that barrier to creating any kind of project. You have to look at your budget, and when you come to Chicago, you may have different resources that are able to assist you in that way, things that maybe Chicago Film Office or the Illinois Film Office can give a filmmaker. And when you see projects like Empire, like Chicago Fire and Chicago Med and Chicago PD, and all these other entities that have come to Chicago, and new entities that are coming back, like Jordan Peele's new project. He's filming at CineSpace. That tells you alone. He won this Oscar, and now he's in Chicago.
Wow.
Filming a new series. That says it right there. You have people who are warm, welcoming, who have the knowledge, and who have the means, and knowing that you can come to Chicago and not feel the weight of a lot of people also in your business. You don't have the paparazzi like you may in New York or LA. So people feel like they can come and actually be in the moment, can focus without the outside distractions as well. And I think that's one thing that is a huge plus for us here in Chicago.
All of that, plus they are saving roughly about 30%. I'm kind of familiar with that. I serve in the governor's sort of tax force, and so giving the companies incentives
Right.
for them to financial incentives,
That's right.
and then they fight with Atlanta, New Mexico, Vancouver, Toronto, and Eastern Europe also came into the place. Because making a film in Eastern Europe, where they have also a lot of what we have, technical and artistic, great cinematographers, cameramen, it is still, we compete with them. They go, not only Europeans of the West, but also a lot of Hollywood films go there. But Chicago remains an important, and also it's easy to shoot, and that is why they fake the train tracks, they fake that for New York. The river is just phenomenal. Where else can they find that? And so they can make a film here, and it looks like the river in London or in Paris, and it's in Chicago, and the money, and then all the facility that there is, and easy, and also the actor, the paparazzi, all of that is true. People are friendly, open, and they don't bother anyone, so they have all of that. They have great cinematographers, including my daughter.
Oh, very nice.
There's a plug there.
She's beginning. She
love
went to
that.
Columbia College.
I love
Also
that.
school, having the school, DePaul, Columbia, great schools, nothing to envy New York or LA.
That's right.
So they had the brains, and they had the muscles, and so the creativity. Unfortunately, there are really not many films that claim to be Chicagoans. This is very little of that. They come because of the facilities.
Right.
The city welcomed them with open arms, a lot of resources, but making a film in Chicago remains extremely difficult for anyone.
Okay.
I mean, for the African American, for the Latinos, and for the white filmmakers, is not an easy thing. Now, Hollywood comes and they are welcome and bring some money, but ideally will be how can we work together and really be beyond using our locations and the talent and the cheap resources, how can they really make a film that is Chicago born?
There you go. And do you know, we're going to hang out there for 1 second, because it sounds like we have it, right? We are a cuter city, we are a more affordable city, and we have nicer people. So I'll take that.
Right.
But let's get to some of the challenges behind, telling stories, that particularly if you are an independent filmmaker, because one of the things that stories are, typically already famous, have behind them is a large budget. So is it possible, and Dionne, I'm going to toss this to you, for filmmakers to create a quality film that's truly independent?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. That's one thing we're always proud of, is our connection to local filmmakers. And one thing you see within our film festivals, especially mainly the Black Harvest Film Festival that's in August, what you see are a lot of short films, and then occasionally a couple features, which is always something to be applauded. But you see films from local residents, and we actually have two programs within the festival that are called Made in Chicago, shorts programs made in Chicago, because they were, and it inspires you, because you see new people, you see new filmmakers every year, and though obviously there are a lot of challenges because that is the biggest barrier to art is financing. How are you going to get this made? And you may have a million great ideas, but if you don't have the means, it'll never see the light of day. So I think it helps when you have, number one, someone willing to give you the financing, a couple dollars, someone who's willing to give you a grant. I know that the City of Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, they actually give grants to individual artists to produce work. And then you need the means. You need a venue that's willing to show your work, like the Gene Siskel Film Center. And we are so incredibly proud of that because we know it's a challenge. And one thing that we really love doing is helping to bridge that community and give them opportunities to network. That's one thing we do within the festival or just on a regular basis. It's great. You can come by and you may run into a filmmaker or someone that you don't know, and you can have a conversation, and perhaps this person is looking for a PA, production assistant for their film, or maybe they're looking for a script supervisor, or maybe they're looking for someone to carry the boom mic or something. You never know what resources may be found when you're networking, and we know what a challenge it is. So it's always wonderful when you can be able to provide additional resources for those in the community trying to do what they do best and tell their stories and make sure that they can be seen by the public.
Okay. Now you sort of started that. Do you want to weigh in a little bit more, or is that pretty much?
It's happening. I basically, films are made when the decision to make them is made.
Okay.
And somebody wants to make a film and they made it because, I mean, that's what I do. I used to be a lawyer. I don't care about that. It's a non-creative part that I gave up. Nothing against the lawyers.
No, of course not.
It's just me. But this is so creative. And the lack of resources forces people to be creative or they fail.
That's right.
And there are some people who fail and get up and keep doing and trying. Those are the ones that I admire, I emulate, because they have the courage to really do what it takes to bring about their ideas into reality. And we're talking about filmmakers, so it's a struggle. They get people to work with them, resources, get the camera, get the lighter, get the sound, and then they look for a place where they can show the film. So they're extremely resourceful, very creative, and really nobody stops them. And that is the people you admire, and I work with them, and that is what I love, what I do, because they infuse you with some energy that you can't get anywhere else. And that is precious. And when you work with that, I mean, and the king, and she's the queen.
Oh, I love it.
No, I mean, it's
yeah.
doing something that passion is kind of infectious.
Okay.
You become a part, and otherwise we could not do what we do because
That's
it's
right.
extremely complex. There's no money, there's problems and regulations and you name it. But we know that we are doing something that is of critical importance. We are changing things. We are uplifting the community. We are giving Chicago a different perspective, make it a city that really is more humanized. And that is something so unique and so important that I do that with the contagious passion that I get from people who are making things happen. It's difficult, and there are other things that are easy, and people get involved and make money. But I see the artists; they are happy with the outcome, and they do or put everything they have. So. When it comes to the quality reflected, and it becomes sort of a part of this engaging process where they really put everything they have, the brains and all of these things, and got a team to make a film that they wanted. So when you look on the screen, wow, it reflects. And then we are kind of forced to program that, and and then do the marketing and get other people to come and see this piece of art.
Okay.
And one thing I wanted to mention when you were speaking, Pepe, it just made me think about just the opportunities. You know, once a filmmaker decides, and like you said, puts that plan in place, decides they're going to create a film, then you have to have those resources. And it's great when someone says, okay, hey, we have a call for local artists to show their work. And this year, for the first time, within our Panorama Latinx program, we actually have Cortadito, which is a short film showcase that we're having in September. And this is the first year we're doing it. And so I am excited beyond measure because this is specifically for local filmmakers of Latinx background. And we have never done that before. And we know how much that's needed on every hand. So for us to even remotely try to, you know, give a resource, just short films, we're not even close to touching what Pepe does, but just having another resource for filmmakers, it's always a wonderful thing.
Okay, well, I just want to stop and remind everybody that they are watching Can TV. We want to thank you for being a part of this discussion, keeping it real. Spotlight on Chicago Film. I am sitting here with Mr. Pepe Vargas and Ms. Dionne Smith, and I am so glad to just have them and talk through them. And I want to touch on something I think you both just said. And I want to ask, let's say that you are a young kid, a young black kid, a young Latina girl who has an iPhone and a passion for creating content. How do I go from the phone and the passion to realizing my dream of creating a film, especially in a city like Chicago that's sort of, you know, pregnant with all these opportunities? What do I do?
Just put the phone away. Put the phone away. Don't waste your time on social media and gossiping, and put aside, read books, search for a story, look within themselves, and forget about the glamour and following the story of all of these people, and because that's what they do. And so put that aside, throw that away if possible. It costs money, but they really focus on the creator, look on their own talents, and start writing and creating and conceiving and developing and the idea. Whatever the idea, if it's not film, will you be an architect or a doctor or a veterinarian or whatever they wanted to do, but really focus on, and also travel the world. If they don't have money, go to a film center.
There you go.
And see friends from Africa, East Europe, or come to a Latino film festival and visit 20 countries without leaving Chicago. Get connected, get out of the little circle of their community, and break away from the, I guess, self-discrimination or self-forming this package. Just break away. And I say that probably with authority. I went away from my hometown, and I go back in my hometown. But that made me who I am, start connecting and searching and challenge myself to grow and move and meet different people. But if you are glued to the phone, the world goes by, and then the time goes by, and they become not, I mean, at some point they realize that I'm not a teenager, they're 30 years old and still
on the phone.
and so, yeah, put the phone aside.
Well, I would say I agree with what you said, but I'm also gonna play devil's advocate. So I was totally in agreement. I think first things first, you need to read. You need to go, you need to investigate, you need to do research, you need to find out where can I meet other people who will help teach me what I want to know. Teach me the skills to be able to put my ideas on camera. So you need to go, you need to research, do whatever means that are free, go to a library even, or pick up a paper, go online, see where there are meetings, you know, there may be meetup groups, so that's how I'm gonna pull technology in there. actually go online, go to some of your social media websites and see where there are opportunities to meet other professionals that can help, create your vision, your dream. But one thing I will say is there is a place for technology. You never know. And I do believe that in this day and age, one thing you see are young people who are creative enough to say, okay, if I'm not sure this is going to get on network TV or in a regular movie theater, well, you know what, maybe I'll create content for the web. So you see more people doing web series. That's always a creative way to get your message out there and your vision. So you see more of that. That's actually how Issa Rae of Insecure, HBO's Insecure, was able to get her show, is because she created this web series and it was seen, and that's what got her to this next big opportunity, and now she's known. And one thing that I also saw with one of our filmmakers that came through the Black Harvest Film Festival, she told me that because she had one of her projects in Black Harvest, it led to her creating a bigger budget film. Someone came to Black Harvest, actually saw her work, and it led to a meeting with Queen Latifah's production company and something else. You never know where your opportunity will meet. In one of her last films, she actually shot her short film completely on an iPhone 6, which blew me away. You could tell there are certain elements, when you're looking at it, there's nothing you really can do with different shots. But it was so well done and so simple, and she said she completely shot it on her phone. And that made me think about the opportunities for young people. And okay, yes, I agree with Pepe. Don't get on the phone talking, don't text. But if there's a creative way to use what you already have to make what you want, do it.
Yes.
Don't let it stand in your way.
Use your phone intelligently. And
Thank you. Thank you. Intelligently. That's right.
And
Creatively.
then watch films.
That's right.
Watch
That's right.
films.
Do your homework.
And not Hollywood films. See, Hollywood really is this huge mega machine that has very little to do with film as a cultural expression, as an artistic expression, as a money-making giant. That's what they do. So avoid watching Hollywood films, because reality is that they make 20 films a year, and those are the ones that get nominated. That's why one films get 12 nominations. It's not because it's good, it's because there's nothing else to nominate. And they just made 12 films and then made 800 pieces of trash to make money.
Yeah.
To get people every weekend to consume that, and it's bad for the brain.
Okay.
It's bad for the brain, but there's a machine, and they have all the marketing tools to get people there every weekend. To watch that and engage, and I am one of them who go and watch I like the comedies. I do go knowing that there's some that has substance, but really in reality they made more than 700 films that had nothing to do with cinema as an artistic expression, and they pay money and they invest $200 million in making a film and 200 in promoting the film. So, and then they made $1 billion.
Okay.
And that's what they do. And regarding making films, no. Films is made with $1 million, and it's really a piece of art.
Okay. So I sort of want to wind down here.
That's the films that I recommend people to go and see.
Okay, well, of course.
Those independent
the
films, those
independents,
that
yes.
carry a story, that make you feel, that make you cry, that make you feel something, that you remember something, not that you remember to go back on this Friday.
Next Friday and see. Well, and that's sort of what I want to wind down and say, that as we have more millennials, picking up their phones to create content, or who are interested in telling their stories using film, because I know you two are on the pulse. How do you see this younger generation sort of coming in and changing the landscape, particularly of independent films and independent storytelling? What do you see coming next with this sort of new generation coming behind?
Well, I think you have to be open to what young people are thinking or feeling. I think it's disrespectful if you don't listen to what they have to say. But I do think strongly that it's important for the older generations to teach history. I think that's lacking in some regards. People don't want to teach history. And back to, things that Pepe was saying, it's true. I want young people to learn. I want them to be educated. I want them to know how to create, how to do what they want to do, how to take a story from point A to point B, look at pre-production, look at, whatever it takes to get to the final product. I want them to learn. And you need resources like, for instance, Allstate is one of our biggest sponsors, and we greatly appreciate them because they give money for us to try to help educate the next generation of filmmakers. We have an Allstate Youth Filmmakers program in which we work with the Community Film Workshop, which is one of the oldest workshops or programs and located on the south side in the Woodlawn community. And we work with Margaret Caples and her group of young people, and what she's doing day in, day out is trying to educate young people on filmmaking and the beauty of filmmaking and helping them stand strong and believe in their stories and giving them resources. And how we do that is we provide opportunities for them to meet filmmakers that have already done what they want to do. Filmmakers who've been in Black Harvest, filmmakers who've had their work shown maybe on HBO or in Cannes, in France, who know exactly what it takes to make something happen. And we bring them in front of their faces and help them create their work, giving them that knowledge, even, paying for additional equipment, better equipment, so that they're able to do what they want to do. And that's so important. So yes, we want to listen to young people and see what they're doing, but giving them the opportunity, giving them the resources will only help to get their vision out there, to help them create. And then what you see on screen is, okay, I didn't look at this problem in this way. Maybe they have a film about bullying, maybe they have a film about racism or prejudice, or maybe they have a film about, depression or something. It's interesting because you may look at what they're doing and it's a different take, it's a different view, but they wouldn't have had those opportunities had we not tried to help them and educate them. So
That is the responsibility that we have. Mm-hmm. We have the responsibility to listen to them, to guide them, mm-hmm. to inspire them, mm-hmm. to provide the tools so they can engage and be part of. And start creating. For example, we have a program that, and the reason we keep doing that without money, and we have given that for free. Next year it will be the 25th anniversary of the matinee free program. Mm-hmm. And so we bring 4,000 to 5,000 school children, and the amount of logistics involved to do that is humongous. But we made that happen. Okay. And sometimes they ask me how. I don't know how, but it's happening. We are committed to make sure that happens, and every year we get close to 5,000 students. And next year it will be 25 years doing that. When you multiply, it's more than 100,000 students who have been exposed to this. Many of them have met a director, mm-hmm. and then they mm-hmm. talk and engage in this. And when you see them, you perceive some sort of energy of the creator awakening, then the interest. And my take on this is an investment. Mm-hmm. Is taking these people to look at a film from a different perspective, not just an entertainment thing, but starting getting their senses involved and capture the essence of what the director, the writer, and cinematographer wanted to convey in the message that they have in the film. So it's a really rewarding experience, and we keep doing that regardless.
Okay, so I got the 5-minute warning, which means we're coming down on time. So I want to conclude in a pretty non-traditional way. Instead of me just asking you for your regular parting thoughts, I'd like for each of you to give me 2 predictions on things to come in Chicago's independent film industry in the next 5 years. 2 predictions. Who wants to go first?
2 predictions.
Yes.
Well, honestly, this is more of a outside of Chicago, but I do feel like because we've now bounced back after 9/11, so I feel like even more of Hollywood will come to Chicago, or those outside of Chicago, even more entities will be coming to Chicago as they're doing now. I believe that's going to continue to grow, and I do feel like we'll see more Chicago filmmakers making their mark on Hollywood.
Okay.
So you see a lot of local entertainers that have been doing their thing now in LA, Dionne Cole, Little Rail, who's filming a pilot for Fox. You see these local entertainers who are going to LA making their mark. So I think you're going to see even more of that.
Okay, that's two. Pepe?
Which you may too. No, I really see, well, Hollywood will keep doing this, taking advantage of the resources. But it also, we have an effect that is local talent that engage in the process. Eventually they get to make what they wanted to. And then there's a lot of people going to schools. And they will get out of school and they will have to do something. A lot of them there, they had the mirage of going to LA. And that is why Columbia College created a piece of the school in LA for the. But there's a lot of people who wanted to be themselves, wanted to own their own talent, and wanted to do their thing, and they are deeply rooted and in love with the city, and they don't have to go there. They don't have to go to New York, which is second place to LA.
That's right.
I was the only one who stayed of my generation, and there were a couple of, I mean, everyone went to LA. Some people made a career. For instance, Spielberg, cinematographer, went to school with him. He won 2 Oscars, but that is an exception to the exception. The great majority are not doing so well. And so it's just a mirage. Some people made it now, but I do encourage people to stay in Chicago.
I do too.
Don't complain about the weather because it's beautiful.
That's right.
It's winter, and then also that is why Hollywood comes. They don't
That's
have
right.
the snow there.
That's
Right.
right.
And to go to the mountains, it's just
That's
too
right.
expensive to. They come to the city, and so they don't come because they like it. They just come because they have a lot of things. So native Chicago's, and also Chicago is sort of the capital of the Midwest. There's people who go to Iowa, study as a good university, and they come to Chicago. And then, they come. The city has a lot, and I do sort of encourage them to stay, and I think they will stay, and they will start producing things, more independent things, because a lot of resources. A lot of resources. I speak for my daughter first time because I know she works so hard, and there's time that it's not work, so she's called to work on 2 or 3 independent films, and she does it, and she has done the cinematographer for 4 shorts that are around circulating in festivals. So there is, I mean, I wouldn't be here if Chicago were not the right place.
There you go.
There won't be a Latino Film Festival
That's
if
right.
I had gone to LA, as a lot of people went and so on, and they were in construction. Janusz Komicki is the one who won the Oscars, and there's only one out of the big mass. No, I stay in Chicago. The city changing. It's a lot of problems that if we are together and unite, that's the way we can overcome them and really make a better city. And that's what I am here for, to make sure that what we do inspire people to create a better city, because that is the one that will benefit not only us, but the new generations. And how can we provide something that is good for them? Things are difficult now, and they have been worse times than this. And so it proves that eventually things will change and we'll see better times, politically speaking. It's a city that, in spite of the corruption and all of that, sort of inspires people.
Okay.
You see the marches and people are opposing police brutality and the corruption, all of that, all of the anti-Trump sort of energy is focused in Chicago. It's not Detroit, it's not St. Louis. It's definitely not LA or Miami, it's Chicago.
it is.
So we embody something that is so unique and at the same time very powerful.
There you go.
That there is a reason. And I see good things coming.
Okay.
Yeah, and the new generation being involved and making things. And Hollywood, yeah, I see it's big, but it won't be big forever.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
I encourage everybody to come to the Chicago Latino Film Festival. This is our 34th edition. This is a legacy. It's a staple of the city of Chicago. We have so many films to offer, all kinds of genres, different countries. So we definitely hope you don't miss it.
I want to thank both of you for being with me today. You were fabulous, exquisite, wonderful, marvelous, all of that. And I certainly want to thank you for watching. This has been a very special presentation brought to you by Can TV. We're going to be doing more of these in the months ahead. So just please stay tuned, stay with us, and stay watching our films, our independent films, right?
That's
There
right.
you have it.
That's right.
Goodbye.